Okay.
Okay, ready?
All right.
Let's go.
Let's do this.
In 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rooted Latinas.
AKA Raíces Latinas.
You rolled your R.
You know, I remember Jaden when he was starting school, and he's in the Spanish immersion program at St. Anthony's.
Uh-huh.
And so one of the things that they try to teach him is how to roll your R's. And I remember Jaden is like, Mama. He's like, I'm like, he could not get it. But you know how hard it is for people to actually roll their R's?
Dude,
Just
yo
have 'em listen to
todavía.
Nicki Minaj.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I'll be rolling it.
It's
love
hard.
it,
It's
right?
hard. I'm still to this day learning how to do it. Unas veces sí me sale y otras veces no.
Depende if I'm a yo no sabo kid at the time or not. The conversation.
Depends.
Depending if I practice my jaw workout.
That's funny.
Literally.
Well,
So,
we're very
yeah.
excited for today's episode because today we're going to learn a little bit more about Rocio Hermosillo.
Dang, I like your R's.
So many R's.
Yes. No, well, I'm excited, ladies.
Yes, Rocio. We want to start off with asking you, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and your background.
What do you want to know?
What rooted you?
Yes.
Ooh, what rooted me? Bueno, a little bit about my history and where I come from and how I got rooted aquí. Very similar to you ladies and your families, right? Mi papá había perdido su trabajo en Mexico, and he lost his job. And because he lost his job,
What year?
in the 90s,
Okay.
early 90s, he perdió todo, le quitaron la casa, my mom ya no tenía my older sisters, y pues ya no tenía nada donde estar. So un tío dijo, hey, in Iowa tienen trabajos. And so my dad was like, okay, there's work, there's jobs. And so he went. And he was the first one to actually come here. And porque estaban in the meat packing plant. Do y'all remember that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The what? Wait, in Des Moines?
Yes.
Off of Mari?
Yes. So that was how he got connected up here to Iowa. Entonces, en esos tiempos, he was not ready to bring the whole family over. And since I was really little and young, he only brought the favorites, a.k.a. me and my brother.
Okay.
Y llegamos aquí, and then it wasn't until maybe 8-9 months later that my older sisters were able to come and stay with us. So there was a little bit of break in time, pero gracias a Dios estábamos aquí. I don't know if you ladies remember, I remember living in a 1-bedroom fourplex off of 2nd in college. Y estábamos como 10 or 12 familiares, all living in that same place.
Dang.
But like many folks, when you first get here, you don't have where to go, what to do, or anything like that. And so I remember telling my dad and my mom, I didn't want to be there because I would go to sleep at night cubriéndome con una cobija because I just remember how infested it was with pests and things. I would be afraid. I'm I saw cucarachas. They were everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And so literally, I don't know how long it took, but my papa was able to figure it out. And he met this older white man named Larry who said, I think you should buy a house. And so my dad went and said, I think I should buy a house.
Yeah.
I think it was $60,000 at the time.
Wait, so how long did it take him to buy the house?
I think maybe 3 years, 2-3
Okay.
years.
To
So it
buy
wasn't
the home
to
once
buy.
he got here?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
An awesome goal. That's good.
Yeah, y pues ya desde ahí we've been
60,000
there.
for how many beds? You remember?
Yes, it was. I still remember, still on the south side of Des Moines. Still, it was a 3-bed, 1-bath. House was built in the 1890s. Estaba bien destruida, estaba bien fea. And then, as you guys know, we started remodeling. Y pues, ¿qué colores quieren? Verde.
All the bright colors.
Oh my goodness.
anaranjado.
Yes, supuestamente they had
cuarto.
hired a interior designer.
¿En serio?
Literally, we had green carpet.
Oh my god.
The shaggy green
Yes.
carpet? Yeah.
That's
Who was their
funny.
interior designer? You can meet her.
For real.
I
Bring
don't
that
know.
back.
Can you see pictures of your house?
It might be scary to see, but no. So that's how we got here.
That's so cool.
So how old were you?
I was 2.
Okay.
Oh, wow. You were 2.
I was 2. So this is all I know. Des Moines is really home. Y gracias a Dios, con ese tiempo, like, I didn't know any different. Like, the hardship, there were hardships, but I didn't see it any different. It was just living life every day. So, like many of us, you know, our parents they just got here as new immigrants. They need to go out and work to provide and things like that. Entonces, it was really my sisters raising us as kids, or raising yourself. Pero esa independence, I guess, is what's allowed me to be who I am today.
Yeah, I love that.
That's so cool.
It's fun being like, I'm not the oldest, but I always tell my 2 little siblings that were born here, I was like, when, you know, I'm trying to tell them something, I was like, you got to listen to me. I changed, you know, I wiped your butt. Like, I took care of you, you know, like you
I'm
owe
up
me.
here and you're down here.
Yeah, you have to remind them, you know, like, I wiped your butt.
All
you know.
right.
I think like you know, one thing that kind of stood out from what you said was like your dad couldn't bring all of you guys over. It was like the favorites, you and your brother. How much time were you away from your older siblings?
It was about a year. Almost a year.
Mhm.
Yeah. Pero ellas, like, I think about it even now, like, for me, it was a different experience than what they had, porque para ellas, they had to acclimate and learn a completely new language, as where for me, even though Spanish was all I knew, it's a lot easier to learn it when you're just starting school and going into kindergarten.
Right.
As opposed to my sisters, they're already in 4th and 5th grade, and they're going to try to figure it out. So it would be I would love to have them on because they could share their experiences and how it was trying to adapt to a whole new culture and a whole new life, because I know for them it was something different.
And for you, it was like, you know, this is home. This is what I know. How was like, I would love for you to talk about like, how was that experience? Because I think there's 2 different sides to it, right? Like you, like having those roots of like Mexicana, your parents coming from Mexico, like, and literally just getting dumped into the American way. How was that growing up?
That's a really good question. I usually was called the white girl. Oftentimes, in esos tiempos, for whatever reason, there weren't a lot of Latinos, at least at the schools that I was going. I didn't know why, and I didn't even know que yo era la única que tenía papeles out of my whole family. Even my younger brother, like, he wasn't born here in the U.S.
How come you were?
because I'm the favorite.
Doesn't work.
She
that
came
way.
at the right time.
Honestly, era un momento that my mom was able to have me over here in Texas. That's where my grandpa lived. Y she was able to have me there. I'm sure she would have wanted to do that also for my brother, pero no estaba en las cartas en esos tiempos, you know? Pero growing up, what I ended up seeing era, I didn't know why things were so much easier for me than it was with maybe my siblings or my sisters. And I think for me, it was because I was surrounded. You are your environment. I really believe that. And so when I first started in school, because of the way I looked, and they assumed that I didn't know English. So me mandaron to Lovejoy Elementary School, still on the south side, but it was further than the school that was right by me. I was there for a couple years, actually 2 years. And in first grade, I remember being like, I want to be a part of that group, because they had like red group, green group, and a yellow group. And I noticed that everyone in my yellow group looked just like me. And we were all happened to be in ESL, the English as a second language. Entonces I was like, well, I don't want to read this book. Like, I want the one with the green group. I want to read that book. I was really geeky and nerdy. Still am. It's okay. And the teacher was like, no, Rocio, like, this is your book. This is your group, like, whatever. And I was getting really frustrated and I got mad. So I went over to the green group. I took a book and I decided to start reading in front of the whole class. And that's when the teacher was like, oh my gosh, Rocio actually knows how to read.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stop.
Wow.
What?
Yes. And because of that.
I wish this was on camera.
Monday?
You get just getting up, grabbing the book and reading.
Right.
I can
did.
so see you. Knowing you now, yes.
Yes. And because of that moment, I no longer, like, my trajectory changed completely. The teachers are like, you don't need ESL anymore. You actually are able to read or to learn more, whatever. And I think that was my very first introduction of learning how you look and what you appear makes such a big difference to your environment and people around you. and they don't actually know who you really are on the inside. It's just by looks.
Right.
Entonces, that allowed me to not have to go to Lovejoy anymore and actually be at the school that was closer,
Which was?
Granger. At the time, it's now South Union.
Mm.
And so that allowed me to go there, and that made life a lot easier. My parents don't have to go take me further away. I don't have to ride the bus, just different things like that. Pero en esa escuela, no habían Latinos. Why? Because they thought all the Latinos probably needed ESL. And that was just an
And
assumption.
the staff was at the other school for that.
Exactly.
That was elementary, right? That was elementary.
Wow.
Dang.
I feel like you just said so many powerful things right there.
Yeah.
Like
That
to
was a
the
lot.
point where it's like elementary. How old were we in elementary school?
I don't know. I was older.
Like,
I was 6
I was 8.
when
Yeah,
I
it's like-
girl, at 6 years
6,
old,
7,
I felt
8.
like I was like, my mentality was probably like, I want to make friends, not prove to these teachers that I can read.
Yeah.
No,
So
girl.
that's powerful.
I'd be like, give me the easy book.
Yes, like I will take ESL
no words,
all
I'll take the
day.
pictures ones.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's powerful, girl. I feel like
agree.
that, I think that really goes to like what mentality you had at the time. And I think you were thinking about like, cómo me supero de esto, And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that probably went through the same thing and was like, no, I'm not. Why are you giving me this book when I can read that book? And why am I with people that look like me when I could be there?
Yes.
And it still happens a lot. But the thing is, like, when you're testing, preschooler, kindergartner, like, a lot of them are going to fail. Doesn't matter if, a second language is spoken in their home. It's just, it's hard for little kids. Like, they just haven't gotten the, obviously once they get further along, they test them every year. And then
Right.
eventually they're going to pick up on, what school is and test out of it. But that's the thing. Like, we had a lot of people come through the school, and the things like the parent would be like, no, they only speak English. I'm trying to teach them Spanish, but they get placed on ESL because second language is spoken at home and because they're going to test well because they're barely getting in school.
That's what their assumption, though,
That
right?
was with you.
I was gonna say that's an assumption. I think what's also amazing is because just hearing that story as a little girl, you still ask why.
I do, don't I?
Like for me, that's huge. Like thinking,
Yes.
trying to imagine you as a 6-year-old
Oh, man.
asking why questions. It almost sounds like it was a huge impact in your life.
Girl, it was to the point that they ended up being like, they didn't think someone that looked like us could do more or be more. And because of that, they put me in gifted and talented. So I was part of a GT after
You were
that
part of that? Oh,
in second grade. And after that, I feel that was the biggest pivot in my young, early life that made me who I am today, because I was surrounded by different people. I was surrounded, like I was taking summer courses for fun, y'all. Like I wanted to be an astronaut. And I took photography classes over the summer. I was taking astronomy classes over the summer. I took Italian. And I wouldn't have been given these opportunities had I not spoken up for myself. And so I just think about how many people, adultos, niños, do not have, it's not, like maybe, I don't know what's the right word, just the guts, or I don't know,
I
because you
think
can
the
feel
confidence.
scared,
The
right?
confidence,
The
right.
confidence to be like, hey, I can do this,
Right.
Mhm.
right? Because most of the time we get told no, or we play stories in our mind that if we do this, what if it doesn't turn out the way that I want it? And rejection is scary. But on the other side, now I've learned, like, holy crap, I would have been in a whole other world probably.
You learned it such at a young age, it sounds like. I mean, from there, just doing those advanced, because I would call those like advanced classes, right? In a sense. And I'm curious to hear like the rest of your schooling and any other bigger changes that you went through that you can share with the listeners to kind of get an idea of, like, after that, like you said, that was a pivotal moment for you, right? What happens to
What happens
Rocio
next?
after? Yeah.
So the next pivotal moment I think I had was where we had these crazy things happen in our life. And so we had our house, right?
Mhm.
We're still on the south side. And for whatever reason, there was someone that ended up burning our house, and the car is on fire.
Wow.
And someone kept, they were, I haven't talked about this in a long time, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
There was someone that was literally threatening our lives almost on a daily basis to, I don't know, they broke into our house one day, and I remember getting home from school because I would walk home from school. Llegué a la casa, and the door in the back was kind of opened already. And I was like, oh crap, the door's kind of open. And I saw my dog, and our dog was just, he didn't look okay. So I was like, I wonder what's going on. And as I stepped in, I saw the whole house was destroyed. And I saw the first thing I could see when I walked into through the back and into the kitchen, there was a door to go down to the basement, and there was a big Nazi sign.
What?
And then I kept walking through, and I saw everything was all over the kitchen floor, and in one of the rooms it said, wetbacks go back to Mexico. And that was my first experience of being like, wow, is there something wrong with being who I am, or the way that I look, or for being brown or whatever? I was 10.
Wow, girl.
9 or 10. And estas situaciones kept happening, and people would write threatening letters specifically to my dad, my sister, and we couldn't figure out who it was or why they were doing these things. The cool part about this was our neighbors were so invested in helping us out that they even put cameras in the front of their house on the side so we can try to figure out and capture who is this person doing this to us. Porque no dormíamos. We couldn't sleep. We would take turns rotating of quién está vigilando la casa, just to make sure everything was going to be okay. And so it took a little bit. Long story short, shout out to Joe Gonzalez for helping us get to the bottom of it. It ended up being the person that was doing all this was living with us.
No.
Jeez.
Oh, so you're still living with the 10 to 12 people?
We were living with closer to 8 people at this time.
Okay. So just to kind of give us an idea of the year, what year was this? Like 2000s, it sounds like?
Oh, no me acuerdo. Maybe 2002, 2000,
Okay.
something like that.
I think at that age, going through that, and even you approaching the door and walking in and seeing all that, like at 10,
It was scary.
I'd be confused. Like, what?
Yeah.
Not even that, but that's your home.
Yes.
Like your home is supposed to be your safe place, your, you know.
The only thing that
How
wasn't
did
messed
you
up
guys find
in
out?
Monday,
How did you guys find out it was the person living with
Joe Gonzalez, like for real. So what ended up happening, so the car was burnt first, and then it got the house on fire. And something bad could have happened, but there was someone that was driving by Thanksgiving Eve, and he was pounding on our doors like, get out, your house is on fire. So we watched the house kind of burn partially. The next time that happened again, it was Christmas Eve, and someone burnt another car. And then this kept continuing for about 9 months, where we would get followed or whatever. So after that, what ended up happening era que we couldn't figure out who it was until Joe Gonzalez, like, I think I know who it is. We're like, how? They took fingerprints, they did all that. Well, it was my nephew's dad at the time. And yeah, you know, the past is in the past, todo está bien, but I think he wanted to be a part of the family, and they were ready to depart, right? They didn't want to be together anymore. And that was his way of trying to maybe control the situation. I'm not sure. And so after that, the next pivotal moment was we ended up moving because my mom was like, forget this. I don't want to be here. I don't feel comfortable or safe in this neighborhood.
I don't blame her.
And that was when we made our next big move. And we moved to some of the nicest houses I have ever seen. And I remember I'm like, this is going to be our house. It was huge. My mom still lives there today. And I ended up having to switch schools. And so by switching schools, I was then again surrounded by different people, different friends, different environment. And at that point, I saw that just depending on where you lived made such a big difference in terms of the quality of education or people that are around you. And I didn't know that, but they're like, wow, you've achieved X, Y, and Z. I think we should put you in accelerated courses. And so because of that, I just kept taking college courses early on to be able to graduate, even with college credits, and continue.
Roosevelt?
No, I went to Lincoln.
Okay.
Southside.
Southside.
Woo!
On the south side.
It's still the Southside. Southside of the life for sure.
Yes. As you like explain your journey, Rocio, I can't help but like always go back to like your mentality and how you navigated through those things. Like, what are some how were you able to go through all of this and at the same time keep that strong mentality of improving yourself, of like getting better? Like, what did you think was driving you in that aspect? And how has that helped you today to what you're doing now?
It's a really good question. No sé si ustedes lo sienten, but there's some like a fire that you kind of feel inside of you. You just kind of feel that inside. And I feel that part of that comes from being an immigrant, like our parents. Yo miraba how hard my mom worked. So hard. And my dad too. And my sisters. And I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to bust my beep. And not give it my all. And not give it my all at the end of the day, because I feel like it would be a slap in the face to them for all their hard work y los esfuerzos. Like, it takes a lot to leave everything you know, everyone you love, and start anew. And I knew I had to be better and do better. And I think I just wanted to make my parents proud at the end of the day.
That's good. Can all the listeners take that, like advice,
Yes.
You know?
I think that's one, like, going back to our name, Rooted Latinas, like that's just a branch of, I think, what kind of connects us all together, because it's something that we can't explain, where we're not doing it just for ourselves, pero para nuestra familia, para nuestros papás, that we see that like that risk that they took was really not, maybe at the time when we were younger, seemed like a little risk because they made it so easy for us to be here that it's like, dang, like, I can't let you down now.
Right.
You've risked so much.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think because of that, and I, like, literally, y'all, I saw my mom working nonstop. And I'm like, I'm going to make her proud. I'm going to do better. And so every day, literally every day, I think she actually instilled it in me. Like, I was doing math workbooks, like, division in kindergarten, just letting you know. Like, that's how geeky I was. For Christmas, I wanted math books. I wanted a science book. I wanted to do all these things. So I think my mom early on just gave me, like, you should learn. And I loved to learn. And because of that, now in today's life, like, I always felt that anything was possible. Like, I'm like, we already did all these things. I'm like, there's nothing that's going to stop us. Like, literally, I was just like, what's life? What's next? What's coming at us, you know?
So talented and gifted is for the kids that get born in kind of classes, It's like,
or nerdy or geeky. That was what I was called most of the time.
And back in the day, if you were nerdy or geeky, you're like, no one wants to hang out with you. Like,
you had your own table.
And now it's like,
It paid off, though.
Yes. No, absolutely. And now it's like, hey, be my friend. Help me grow a business.
Yes, ladies. So I think I see that in so many of us, and I know how hard it can be. And I think that's also what also drives me, is that I know how hard it is. I've seen it, I've lived it, and I don't want anyone else to have to go through that if they don't have to. Or if there's a way to help them out or to share what you know with someone else, I think it's so powerful, porque en realidad it might be a guide for someone else.
right.
I think that's the beauty of, like, the talent that you have, Rocio. And I, just from what you're sharing, like, I could see you went your whole elementary, middle school, high school think with that mentality. I almost want to even call it the Mamba mentality that you really did, because it was like, hey, I show up and I show up. I say what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it the best that I can, and there's nothing less.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Up until, so I want people to know what happened after high school?
Ooh, yes, that was probably the next one, next pivotal moment in life. So I had big plans. I've played soccer all my life. I think, since I was 12. I've always played with guys the whole time. I was always the only girl. And through there, I was like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to play soccer. This is going to be my thing. I'm going to graduate as soon as I can. I'm going to just go out and become CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That was always.
You already had your plan.
Yeah, I really did.
Was there anything that happened that was like, or 2 steps back?
Oh, yeah. So then I had a baby.
Yeah.
I graduated high school, and the next summer, I was pregnant, and I had my son, Jaden. Okay. So I was 18 years old.
And you started college?
Yes, I already started going into college my freshman year. I was pregnant. So that September, I was like, oh, shoot. And I had a scholarship, so I was nervous and afraid of, am I going to be able to pay for college now? Like, if I can't play anymore? Pero my sister, Marcela, was like, nope, you're going to college. You're going to finish it. You're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I already had someone to look at as a role model because that Marcela, my sister, she already did it. And she had already shown that she could do it. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm like, I can do it too. It's hard, but I can do it. And so de ahí, I made the commitment to him and to my partner. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to finish college as soon as I can, as quick as I can, so I can hurry up, get into making money so we can support for this family. Dicho y hecho. Yeah. And so I did that, went to Grandview, played soccer there, got my business admin finance degree, and went straight into a management trainee program, like a leadership program at a bank.
Were you 4 years at Grandview?
3 years. Okay. I was able to finish a little sooner.
Yeah.
Dang, heck yeah.
Pregnant with a baby and you were able to do all that.
Yeah.
Cuando uno quiere, lo puede.
Exactly,
so true.
girl. Say that again. Say that again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you're gone through school. You had Jaden already. How old was Jaden when you graduated?
Jay was going to be 3 years old.
3 years old.
3, right?
Yeah, he was going to be 3. I actually asked him the other day, I'm like, do you remember watching me walk on stage and graduating? No, of course, he's like, Mom, what are you talking about?
Like, you graduated?
He's like, oh, you think I should go to college? I'm like, oh, man. But anyways,
Ooh.
That's another topic
Another
for
story,
another
yeah.
day.
Oh my goodness.
Dang, girl, I'm trying to like just soak it all in because that's freaking amazing, first of all.
Oh, I think you beat a lot of the odds.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, being a woman pregnant, going to school, and just you as a Latina and how you were perceived. Like, I think about, I don't want to talk too much about myself, but I think about like when we went to school together, like it was like I was one of those kids that I was like, oh, just put me in ESL. I'm cool with that. But imagine, like, you know, look at you now. Like,
Rocio's trying to escape it.
yeah, she's like, no, I'm
Let me
better than
out.
that.
Yeah.
Standing up for yourself. And I think that's, you know, what you do now, which I would love for you to talk about, is like, you know, is empowerment and like really showing our Latino community, our women that, you know, you do have that potential, you do have that confidence. It's just, you have to
Want it.
You have to want it. Yeah.
You have to want it. And I think that's what actually led me to probably the next part of my life where, you know, I think there's often times where we can all feel kind of comfortable where we're at and what we're doing. Again, I had that big goal, I'm going to be a Fortune 500 CEO, 500, whatever. And I went through a Latina leadership program through LLI back in 2014. And that was
the first, right? Group
Yep. When that came out, I'm like, ooh, I want to learn about this. I want to learn more about our roots, about where we're at here in Des Moines. And I learned about all the OGs that really got rooted here in Des Moines and what they went through. And I saw a big opportunity, one in our education system, because of the things that I had experienced. So I did run for school board after I did that. Really put myself out there. No sé qué estaba pensando, but
Awesome. I love that, though.
How old were you when you ran for school board?
I think I was 23.
Girl,
Yeah, I think I was 23.
that's huge.
So I was door knocking. I was getting doors slammed on me saying like, nope, nope, nope. Y lo que miré, it was like, man, we're really good at complaining, but we're really good at actually not doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my big aha moment where I'm like, maybe it's because we just don't know what we don't know. So I took that and I'm like, okay, I need to work on myself a little bit more so that I can figure out what are some of the gaps and the areas that I'm interested and passionate about. Education is one of the biggest things that I'm passionate about. And I kept seeing that where people were making decisions at a high level, there wasn't anyone that looked like us at those tables.
Right.
I'm talking about boards. I'm talking about committees, even at the state level and city council, all levels. No había nadie that looked like this. Y los que estaban ahí were very few. And they were male most of the time. So I was like, there needs something more needs to happen. And I just started getting plugged in, and I would literally would reach out to CEOs or to like top people, and I would say, hey, I'm really trying to learn and I want to be the best that I can. I'd love to invite you for 15 minutes of coffee. Most of the time, they all said yes. And because they said yes, I got connected. And I learned how connections are everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are.
And those connections led me to be on boards, connected me to have bigger opportunities, allowed me to expand my circle and my network. And I'm like, I would be selfish if I didn't bring others with me and others along. And so that's what I've been trying to do in this journey, is trying to bring others along. And I got up to a point in corporate where I was like, this just isn't it. I don't feel fulfilled. I was a recruiter.
I remember that.
And I was like, no, this isn't it for me. So I had a friend who had posted on social media, and she looked like she was having a lot of fun doing real estate.
What friend, girl?
Maria. It was you, girl. She had posted, and I'd been watching her on social media, and she just looked so genuinely happy with what she was doing. Estaba ayudando a la comunidad. She was educating people, and I'm like, this is it. I'm like, it's that. I can do all that I want, still make income, and make an impact. So I decided to quit everything that I was doing, went all in, got my license, and did real estate full time.
That's awesome.
I remember when she contacted me, I was like, I texted my husband, I was like, babe, guess who wants to become a real estate agent? I was like, Rocio Hermosillo. And you know the very first thing that he said? He's like, she's going to fucking kill it.
Nope.
She's going to kill it. I was like, yes, she is.
I love that. So how many years have you been doing it now?
Over 4+ years.
Okay.
Yes. And what's really cool is along the way.
It feels like a lot longer.
Oh, it does,
So
right? It does, a little bit.
Yeah.
What was really cool, along the way, I got to meet some amazing women with me that had a very similar mentality, just as I did, who had similar vision, values. And now I have them next to me, which is so amazing and badass. Mariana and Maria. To create something bigger outside of us, right? And now we have Ella, which is the first Latina real estate owned company and team. And I don't think we were setting out to be the first. It just happened to be that we are. And being and doing this now, I've learned so much about myself. I'm still learning and growing. I'm far from perfect. They can attest to that very clearly. Yeah. But what's beautiful is that I can share that with people that get it, who want it, and who also have the same mentality of, hey, I say I'm going to do something, I got to do it, right? And you become your environment, like we talked about. Something we talk about is you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. I want to make sure I'm hanging out with the best. And so that to me is super important, and that's kind of what leads me to today, y'all.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, I feel like you have, going back to like breaking so many curses, myths about anyone and everything. I think a huge shout out for you for even like, I know you touched briefly about this, but I think this is huge because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are probably in a corporate job, are probably working a 9 to 5, and they have that fire that you explained at the beginning. That's like, you get this fire in you that you don't know what to do with it. And for you to be like, I'm going to keep pursuing that, following it to the point where it's like, I found something that I like, that I can help and really grow from it, and taking that opportunity and that risk for yourself. I think that's huge.
Oh, thank you.
I think that that's huge with anyone that is rooted here, because we get so comfortable with like, working going to school, graduating high school, going to college, getting a corporate job, and then that's it. You build your family, like that's it.
The routine, right?
Yes.
And staying comfortable.
What advice do you want to give to our last minute advice to our listeners?
I would just say, whatever you believe or think is holding you back, it's not. You can create a new future, a new journey, a new story, and you can decide at any moment. It can be today, it can be tomorrow. So long that you're being truthful and honest and genuine with yourself.
Absolutely.
And so the world is yours.
Yes. And
Oh,
one
I
last
love that.
question, Rocio. What's next for Rocio Hermosillo?
Ooh, girl. You mean for us? No, I think for right now, it's just continuing to better myself, because I really believe when you become your best self and your highest self, you're then allow others to do the same. And I think that's how we really change the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, girl, for sharing your journey, your story. I
Thank
think
you
it's
for
going to
having me.
impact a lot of people, and pa adelante.
Yes,
Adelante.
adelante.
Let's go.
Let's go.
If you haven't followed Rocio Hermosillo on social media, on our platforms, go now. Pull out your phone, literally,
Yes.
and go follow her. Can you share your handles with us?
Yes, at Rocio_Hermosillo_realtor.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Stay tuned for our next episodes, and we'll see you guys next time.
Till next
Bye,
time. Bye.
Yeah.
Yay. No, you're good.
That
I'm
was
like sweating.
story.
Stop.